Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're taking a completely fresh look at one of the most famous diplomatic initiatives of the 20th century. We are going to explore how the Marshall Plan shifted from what many consider, this talismanic myth into a highly complex, deeply fascinating historical reality. We're going to break down exactly what this program was, what it wasn't, and how it fundamentally reshaped the globe we actually live in today. Marshall Plan dollars did save the world. That is a direct quote from a former Marshall Plan official. And honestly, it perfectly captures the popular, PR-friendly narrative that has completely surrounded this program for decades. The legendary story basically goes that this beneficent rescue plan single-handedly scooped a war-torn Europe out of headlong destruction and total economic collapse. It's a really powerful narrative for sure, but historians have actually been working for years to take this legendary program out of the realm of myth and subject it to a much closer analysis. Okay, let's dive into this. Was the Marshall Plan actually necessary? Because if you listen to American policymakers from 1947, guys like Dean Acheson, well, they genuinely believed Europe was on the brink of absolute chaos, bloodshed, and disorder. They painted a picture of an apocalyptic economic crisis. But as we start looking at the actual data and the real historical timeline, we have to ask ourselves, was the situation in 1947 truly as disastrous as Washington claimed? Or were there other, much larger geopolitical motivations at play? Section 1. The Catalyst, Crisis and Opportunity. You see, the Marshall Plan didn't just emerge out of pure, spontaneous American altruism. It was born from a very real crisis, the glaring failure of American policy in occupied Germany and the looming threat of Soviet communism. American administrators were really struggling. They were trying to balance punishing a defeated Germany with the harsh realization that a crushed Germany was actively dragging down the rest of Europe's economy. And the timeline escalated so quickly. First, the absolutely brutal winter of 1946 to 1947 brought these devastating shortages of coal and food, which totally stalled the fragile European recovery. Then, in March 1947, President Truman announced the Truman Doctrine, setting a firm anti-communist stance and pledging to help nations resist totalitarian regimes. The whole situation rapidly culminated just a few months later. In June 1947, Secretary of State George C. Marshall gave his famous Harvard commencement speech, proposing an integrated, Europe-wide recovery plan. And he wasn't just offering a Band-Aid, he offered a cure, provided the Europeans actually worked together to draft it. Section 2. The Continental Divide. And this brilliantly illustrates what happened next. When the offer of aid was officially extended at meetings in Paris in late June 1947, it technically included the Soviet bloc. However, Marshall's underlying requirement for economic integration and transparency basically forced a hard division. Soviet Foreign Minister Vyacheslav Molotov vehemently opposed capitalist integration and just withdrew from the talks. Historians largely view this as a massive strategic blunder, because it allowed Western powers to unite under American leadership while Moscow essentially opted out. The immediate fallout? It literally split the continent in two. On the left, we have the European Recovery Program, the official name for the Marshall Plan, organizing the West. And on the right, the Soviet response, the Molotov Plan, and the Common Form, which were designed to enforce ideological rigidity and economic alignment in the East. This specific moment firmly cemented the Cold War economic battle lines. Europe was now undeniably split. Section 3. The Economic Reality. Now, if we look beyond the grand political rhetoric of saving the world, the raw financial data is just staggering. $12.3 billion, which is often rounded up to $13 billion, was delivered between 1948 and 1951. I mean, that is a massive scale of aid. But here is the historical reality check. By the time this aid actually started flowing in mid-1948, countries like Britain and France had already reached or even surpassed their pre-war levels of industrial production. The Marshall Plan didn't restart economic growth from scratch. What this $12.3 billion actually did was solve an absolutely critical dollar shortfall. Europe was producing, sure, but they had literally run out of US dollars to import the raw materials needed to keep that production going. This money paid for that vital shortfall. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it highlights national agency. Washington supplied the funds, right? But European governments decided exactly how to use them based on their own unique domestic priorities. France poured their money into the Monnet Plan, heavily investing in steel and coal. Britain, which was already well on its way to recovery, used 30% of its aid just to import basic staples like food and tobacco, and to pay down debt. Italy took a completely different route, focusing on deflationary policies and inflation reduction rather than aggressive investment. In Germany, they focused on reinvesting in critical infrastructure. So it was certainly not a one-size-fits-all program. To ground these vast statistics in human reality, just look at the arrival of Marshall Plan freight cars at the German border town of Fürstenwald. You can see the crowds gathered, witnessing the arrival of American-funded supplies. For the actual people on the ground, dealing day in and day out with rationing and the sheer devastation of the post-war years, the arrival of these physical goods, wheat, cotton, machinery, and coal, was tangible, undeniable evidence of recovery. And it was a huge boost to the credibility of the centrist political parties that had secured this aid in the first place. However, when we talk about the famous German economic miracle, we actually have to acknowledge a totally different starting pistol, the really bold currency reform of June 1948. Despite the vital importance of incoming Marshall aid, it was the Western powers stepping in and replacing the hyperinflated, completely worthless Reichsmark with the new Deutschmark that truly changed the game. That move wiped out 90% of the currency literally overnight. Suddenly, money had real purchasing power again, the black market vanished, and factory managers could finally earn hard currency. So the crucial point is perfectly summarized by historian Charles S. Meyer. He describes the Marshall Plan as being like the lubricant in an engine, not the fuel. The economic engine of Western Europe was already built, and it was trying to run. The Marshall Plan aid simply prevented that machine from buckling and binding up under the immense friction of the dollar shortage. It gave European governments the much-needed financial breathing room to make bold choices, like investing in heavy industry or launching expensive welfare states, without their economies just seizing up entirely. Section 4. Ripple Effects. Building the West. Let's move to and see how this built. While the exact economic impact is still debated, the geopolitical ripple effects are completely undeniable. This economic initiative set off a chain reaction that built what we now refer to as the West. First, by insisting that German economic recovery was absolutely vital to European recovery, the Marshall Plan laid the direct groundwork for an independent, sovereign West Germany in 1949. Second, that push for economic unity made European leaders, particularly Britain's Ernest Bevin, realize they needed a military umbrella to protect it. That realization led directly to the founding of the NATO military alliance. And third, the Marshall Plan's strict demand for European integration sparked the Schuman Plan, which pooled French and German heavy industry into the European coal and steel community. And that was the very first building block of the modern European Union. Which leaves us with a final provocative question. Is the West simply a byproduct of an economic stimulus package? It's kind of incredible to look back and marvel at how modern global security, the NATO alliance, European integration, and the very cultural and strategic concept of the West were all birthed from this single, deeply complex aid program announced at a Harvard graduation. The Marshall Plan wasn't just a giant check. It was the catalyst that reorganized the European state system forever. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope these insights have helped you see the profound reality behind the myth.